Oh my gosh. I just finished the movie. I just finished Matilda. What the hell? Oh my gosh, it was so good. It was a very good movie. Overall, just in general, direction. Even so, immediate thoughts. Immediately. So very, very good. Makes sense. Wow. Wow. Intergenerationally healing as heck. Oh my geez. So here's the thing. This movie means a lot. Oh God. The fact that Miss Honey was older than Matilda, but did not necessarily get to that place, just goes to show each generation that is healing has its own powers, talents, and gifts that it has to offer. Miss Honey literally, unlike all the other adults that are typically around, even at the other school, or even at the school itself, she, despite the rules, she broke the rules itself and created her own classroom. She created her own style, like you're supposed to. Any teacher worth their salt knows that. Any person that gives a damn about anything, if you care about integrity, even music, why would you make shitty music if you really care? There's no way that you actually care about music and you do that. There's no way. And I say that to say that the goodness in you creates the goodness around you. The capacity within you, if you choose to use it, Miss Trunchbull is extremely strong. There's so many things I have to say about the movie, and that's exactly why I turned this thing on. And I'm gonna say every last one of them. Watch this. Watch this. Hold on. I'm about to. Oh, this thing go up, man. The movie don't. The movie done did what it was supposed to give. It gave what it was supposed to give. It did what it was supposed to do. School walked the boo. It did what it was supposed to do. And the movie hit that spot, man. Oh God, my heart. Oh, my heart has grown in several sizes. Oh my gosh, it's a deepening. I feel so enriched, but at the same time, it was just a good movie. It's a good story, right? I know, again, the movie is not the same as the book. I don't expect that. I do plan on reading the book myself. And just for the movie on its own, I love a lot of different things that we saw symbolically. Again, Danny DeVito, you did a great job as a director for Matilda and showing, and I know it wasn't just him alone. Of course, we always have such an incredible team. Especially like when we look at costume design, I love the fact that they kept the color palette, that the children were always colorful. No matter how glum, no matter how ridiculous the environment is, children are always the essence of God that they always are. They're always the shining, precious light of purity, ultimately, at its core. We all are, but we, start to remove some of our natural radiance through our own actions. Children, it's just different. There's a stronger tether to source of all, more so because, again, it's about just layers of different things. Like, again, what it pointed out, which is what she pointed out towards the end of the movie, which is, children, crisis, tragedy, and chaos, and all of these things, it builds character, and I have a lot of it. She's a deeply internally suffering person who externalized her suffering and did not know her own limitations until she had to meet her own force handed back to her. And that's it. Unlike Miss Trunchbull, Matilda owned her own suffering. And she was a child. She's a child knowing to do that. Her parents are materialistic, egotistical, and just internally numbed and deadened. They're zombified. They're zombified by the Maya, by the illusion of this world being your only life, and that, it's all on this thing and all this other nonsense, all this materialistic stuff that doesn't bring you any rootful joy. Matilda learned without, and it wasn't necessarily from learning. Let's be honest. Again, there are certain traits that come pre-instilled. If it was just a matter of youth this and youth that, what's going on with Matilda's brother? Exact same parents. In fact, he was probably a little more intentional, possibly, than her. Who's to say? We never know how they conceived Matilda, and we never know how they conceived her brother. But still, Exact same sibling, and he did not miss her at the end of the movie. In fact, he said, I can be a sibling." What? I can be an only kid again. Didn't miss her not once. And that's his sibling. I'm saying this to say we can be born in literal whole. We know this. We know this. There's a great no contact or low contact or just standing on business generation. It's not just the millennials, it's every generation. There are people in their 60s standing on business with people in their 80s. Shout out to them. Shout out to any person doing their inner work that's standing on business, even especially most importantly with yourself, because people will stand their business with you too. All the standing up for ourselves is great, but we will be rightfully so. If you understand, people have the right to their own, license. It's a bunch of different stuff, right? Some people are a bit more on the stronger polarity of extreme exaggerated wrongness or exaggerated expressions for their wants and needs that can get just straight up dysfunctional. Miss Trunchbull, there's no excuse. Doesn't matter how internally sad she is and depressed and you don't understand how much I was made fun of and people used to make fun of my shoulders because they look like boulders, and they do. We don't get to crush people with the things that crushed us. We just don't, and we are to be held accountable for the things that we ultimately do, even when it's something that's paining us. So we get away with nothing. No, none of us do. And that was the point again of the movie, is that Matilda had to stand up for herself. That's a huge crux point that I definitely I can appreciate, even in a children's movie, that was still the realistic trait, which is that Matilda, as a 6 going on 7-year-old, maybe even, I don't even think she turned 8 by the time it was the end of the movie. Who's to say she's not 7 going into her 8th year? But really, we saw her at 6.5. We saw her from 0 to 6.5. So anywhere between 6 and 8 years old, no matter what, she's an elementary school child. Again, this is a movie, but still, she had to emancipate herself. She had no savior. She had a comrade. She did not have a savior. Not even in a children's movie. Mind you, this is just one example of a movie for this story, but this story resonates with a lot of people. Why? If these themes don't hit, why is it so popular? So Matilda, even as a child, had to emancipate herself from her own suffering, tragedy, chaos, trauma, and dysfunction. Her parents did not miss her. They didn't miss her. Realistically speaking, people that you have to cut off because you're outgrown them don't miss you. They don't miss you. They miss what they can do to you, how you used to do for them. They miss the dynamic. They don't miss you. They don't know you. A person that mistreats you doesn't know you. And even if they, I guess, think that they do, it doesn't really make sense, because then they would see the full circle nature of things. So again, all of these things ultimately is about we treat other people based on how we're treating ourselves, and also, most importantly, based off what we think that person can and cannot do. Miss Trunchbull, she did not leave the school until someone else pushed her out with her exact same aggression. No, there was no sit down, let's have a meeting, let me explain to you how you got me fucked up. There was no explanation. Even a child knew that. After all that reading that Matilda did she not find a book about how to deal with people with dark triad personalities? She didn't find a book? They didn't talk about her reading no Art of War. She did not read no damn Art of War. Not to say that she maybe didn't at some point after all that library stuff, but they didn't mention nothing like that in the movie, that she read a book on it. She didn't read a book. What did she do? What did Matilda really do? Her dad said bad people, or something along, I'm going to paraphrase what he said. He basically said that bad people deserve the bad things that happen to them. It's about reciprocal energy. You have to it's about consequences. Right. So it is literally the job of those who are in whatever level of maturity, emotionally, socially, spiritually, and everything. You might be financially mature. You might be whatever. I don't know. academically mature, whatever that is, your own personal, enlightenment and whatnot, all of that, whatever it is, we are meant to help each other and to act on that, right? So what that Matilda was so smart. Dumb people are literally destroying our entire planet. What are we talking about? They're dumb because they, for some reason, don't see that they're going to have to walk our steps. This is not a joke, right? When we do these things, especially, one of the biggest things that got me about the movie is that there really was no savior. There literally was no savior for Matilda, even down to the very last minute of the movie. She herself had to literally go and reach out for assistance and say, Miss Honey, can you adopt me? Miss Honey didn't say, hey, whoa, 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 let me step in because this girl stepped in for me so many times. That is not what Miss Honey did. Miss Honey came up on a house, got back a better position, and Matilda still stayed with her parents. Please note that. Please note that, y'all. Miss Honey's cool, and she is. Please be well aware. We are in different stages of consciousness and awareness, and that includes even in energetic retribution. Even though there are people who are wise, or some of our elders, we are all coming in. Every generation comes in with its gifts. Matilda was not playing about that bravery thing. It makes no sense to be a kind person, a smart person, a whatever, sociable, whatever person, but you don't step in and interrupt dysfunction and destruction and evil. There's no point. What's the point of being all those other things and you don't step in? You don't interrupt. If you don't do it, how are you going to survive? How are you going to even make it to the end of the movie if you don't? In Matilda, if Matilda does not act like she literally had to initiate before it ever got to that, because the movie was just everything about what was going on in the adult section of life was rolling on as it typically did the entire time, and no adult stopped it. Not even Miss Honey. She just left, rightfully so, because sometimes you have to first step up and leave a fucked up situation, and that is real. Leave. She left, turned around, and then supported back into her community where she was once harmed, and supported back to those children who are dealing with the same lady that she was able to escape because she knows how to escape that lady. And then she helped those children to have an oasis. Did she necessarily help the kids to escape? No. Miss Honey did not offer an escape for the children. That's not true. She offered an oasis. An oasis is a place of relief. That's not liberation. Relief is not actual freedom and sovereignty. So we start with relief, but it takes you having to realize, hey, if I don't step in, this will get worse and it will not stop. In fact, if I let this energy, Miss Trunchbull, she is a suffering person. This person is harmed. This person is not okay. It's not like, oh, well, this person is just so smart, so big, so powerful. All of that's a damn lie. What happened to Matilda's father when the feds were coming for him? What did he do? He skedaddled. So evil doesn't have a better plan than you. Evil never had a better plan. Evil never had a better plan. Evil does not have a plan. Evil's waiting on you. Evil's like, I've done my part. Miss Trunchbull said, I did my part for the first 70% of this movie. I'm going to need y'all to step up and do the rest of the other 30%. I've antagonized y'all enough in this movie. I'm waiting on you. I need to move on to my next scene, and you all are not doing your job. Matilda could not wait for anyone to save her. All the adults from 0 to 6.5 watched her walk to that library and did not stop her. The police even knew that she was in an effed up situation and did not stop what she was going through. They focused on her dad. And even and then when they did say, hey, we know that you're in a messed up situation, and if you tell on us, you know what's going to happen? You're going to go to a federal orphanage. Okay, so they threatened her. You see, those adults weren't stepping in to help a neglected child. They weren't better people. They were just self-absorbed, selfish, and self-interested. Well, what's self-interest getting the world now? For any of us, it's not just the billionaires. Hey, any of us participating in the system of self-interest, how's that going? If Matilda just operated from a place of self-interest, she just wouldn't have gone to school. The world's so stupid around her, she just would have pretended to be an adult. When she learned telekinesis, she just would have skipped school, skip the kids, skip everything, go and pretend to be an adult. And I don't know. She did not do that. She knew that she deserved to live a regular life like any other child. She needs to move this dark, dysfunctional stupidity out the way. And that's just what that is. So I say this to say this movie is very, 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 very good because distinctly, it's a nice little movie of understanding that, hey, you don't need to be aggressive with that which is aggressive with you. You need to be aligned. The only reason why Matilda was able to get to the point of telekinesis is because she mastered every other form of hard labor, of laboring for what she wanted. She did not get her, she had capacity plus she had to actually practice what she needed. She had to actually apply it. If she didn't go to the library, she would have never have been able to know about the adoption process and then know about how to fax things or Xerox or whatever. She would have never been able to do that and have it ready for a better future. If you don't start today, you will never get there tomorrow. If you keep justifying your suffering, keep validating the bricks, keep building it, you keep building and polishing your prison, and it doesn't make sense. Matilda tried to gray rock her parents, and you know what happened? Her father got violent with her, locked her away in her room, all this other stuff. There is no way, right? The power dynamic is not the same. She didn't use her physical. Yes, did she absolutely outsmart her father, cause psychological torture, energetic torture, mental, emotional, all this stuff? Did she do that? Absolutely. She gave him back his own energy. Absolutely. Without question. Zero-sum universe. Okay? I suggest we watch what we put out there. So she rotated her father's energy back onto him with tax. Then she focused on bigger and better things. She did not sit there and validate it. She did not sit there and say, well, damn, I guess I have a mental illness. I guess I must just be depressed. She said, no, I'm a child. I'm being neglected and abused. I'm going to get a better life. Yeah. If Matilda would have waited for better help by the time she was 21, I don't know what state her mind would have been by then. Good thing she didn't wait until she was 21. Good thing she started when she was 6. I think shout out to every single Matilda that starts whenever they realize that they're being abused, neglected, and disrespected. And step up and realize that, well, damn, I'm not the only person in the world who's ever been disrespected or is being disrespected right now, especially for things like this. I'm not the only one. And that matters. I'm not the only one being harmed here. In fact, a lot of people feel really disempowered because they're like, well, what do I do? But they just need someone, I guess, to open their lunchbox and throw the first egg. The kids at the end of the movie, it's the literal everyone else in the school that ran Miss Trunchbull out of there. It could never have been Matilda by herself, ever. She showed that there was a possibility, but what got Miss Trunchbull, mind you, which is really interesting and a very interesting point of the story, is that Miss Trunchbull, despite all of this, she's highly superstitious, which is to say that she honors the spiritual realm, whether she would call it that or not. Everyone does. We all do. We all do. It does not matter. It doesn't. That's the point. Choice is an illusion. But meaning is personal. Choice is an illusion, though. Please know that. And so Miss Trunchbull, she had to make She had to leave. She was going to have to. If she was going to stay in that house, it was going to be an issue for her mentally. It would have eroded her. And that's the point. Because again, when you don't, that's the point of energetic reckoning. You're supposed to surrender all of your stress and grief and let it go back to where it's supposed to go. You're supposed to release all that suffering, remove all that suffering. And if it's yours, you're supposed to actually, do the healing, curing, and all the work for that. So it stops permeating in the first place. But when it's not you, and it's your job to know if it's not you, you're supposed to give it back to that person or a circumstance or whatever it is. It doesn't matter what it is. Put it back to whatever it's supposed to be at. You're supposed to absolutely redistribute energy, and that includes justice. And this is all based off of integrity. Again, Miss Trunchbull said that she had character, but her character eroded her soul. Whatever hardship she's been through in life, it created a hardness in her. And hey, I understand that. I totally understand. It's just that, well, she got the same hardness that she bestowed. Because when you experience hardness and then you take it on, well, then okay. What do we do here? You're going to get that back. When you experience hardness and you make a decision to be whatever you want to be, let's say that softness, well, then guess what you're going to get back? And even when hardness comes to you, what do you do with that energy? And if someone tries to hold on to hardness, even though you're giving them softness or whatever it is that you're giving them, what happens then? Start really seeing, really and truly, seriously, what happened with Matilda? She did not physically fight anyone in the movie, but she absolutely went to war with them. She gave them back their own stuff. And then you know what she did at the very, very end of that movie? She went back to her life. And you know what I mean by that? She went back to her truth. She did not maintain this, okay, well, what's the next crime? What's the next circumstance? What's the next injustice going on in my neighborhood? She doesn't have to do that. She just knows who and what the fuck she is. She's a kid. I'm not supposed to be so overly protective in the first place. I'm not even supposed to be so on guard in the first place. I'm not even supposed to be so hyper vigilant. I'm not even supposed to be like this. This is not who I am. That's me in a fucked up circumstance and me actually paying attention and me responding accordingly. But that's not who I am. I'm not wartime. I just know how to. That is the thing, that is the point of being here, of being alive. It's getting back to this level of respectful wholeness. Respect begets respect. Respect begets respect. Respect begets respect. Miss Trunchbull had no sweetness in her life. She stole everything that she needed that would have given her comfort. She stole it. She probably murdered her sister, probably killed her sister's husband, stole that house, and took the chocolates, all the little things that she wanted and needed, those little comforts for herself, just to cope with her way of living. And she thinks that she met the peak of her growth. We all have a peak to our growth. I think we all should care about that peak, because there's always another peak. Humility is recognizing the full circle nature of everything already intrinsically. It's a soft awareness. And I think Miss Trunchbull had a deep insecurity that she covered up using her brute strength, but she was very emotionally sensitive and vulnerable, which is totally fine. There's nothing wrong with being vulnerable. There's everything wrong with you being in denial and delusion, and then making everyone else have to play the game of fear to agree with your overemphasis of a courage that you don't have emotionally. Because people who operate off of fear are not courageous. They're deeply afraid. Do you not understand? Tortured people create the torture they know. Healed people create the healing that they know. Miss Honey created her healing, but here's the thing. I don't know if there's anything that Miss Honey else could have done on her end. I don't believe all that. Again, this is a movie. However, these dynamics are very real in real life today. This movie's based off of real life dynamics. And that's why it's so relatable. 30 years later, no matter what generation watches it. It's really great. It's really great. Storytelling is supposed to be about parables and something that grows something about your consciousness. No, we're not supposed to just be consuming mindless art. No, we're not supposed to just be consuming mindless art. One last time. No, we're not supposed to be consuming mindless art. You can absolutely consume art that is to relax you, that is going to restore you, that is going to assist you. Nothing is supposed to be eroding you like that. Like that's just doesn't even make logical sense. It just really doesn't. Yeah, fun things just don't have to take away from like your basic self values and your humanity. These things that are like, well, balance is like doing something healthy and then like doing something that can almost kill you. Like that's not balance, that's dysfunction. There's no way around that. So yeah, it's as simple as that, really. I was thinking to myself that the next generation has to come in and then influence it. So basically, watch this. The house scene is very important. This is my last. Maybe I might kind of wrap it up. Maybe around here. The house scene is extremely important when we're seeing two different generations of abused children. One's an actual adolescent child, and the other one's an adult child. Adult child because we are always children. We never stop being children, even when you're 100 years old. Even if you're 200 years old, you're still a child. The only difference is you're an adult child. So you have the child part that you already experienced, plus your adult identification or whatever experiential aspect of life on top of that. Now, adolescent children don't have the adult part. We're not supposed to be parentifying these children, and we're not supposed to be making them have adultified whatever. They're supposed to be going at their, developmental pace and all that. So there's adolescent children. Then there's adult children. Both can be abused, grown up from, adverse circumstances, so on and so forth, socially and all that. So you see that in the movie, and you see them both responding to the same aggressive. And again, Miss Trunchbull she is frightening, of course, absolutely. Even though she's comically, like, she's so exaggerated. Please note the words that she's saying. I mean, she literally spit on Matilda. She spit on a child. It don't matter who it is. She spit on a child's ribbon in front of them. She knew that one of those kids was in the room watching her do that to their stuff. That's how sadistic she is in the mind as a grown-ass woman. And they're real-ass adults, and it's sad. I know it's like, oh, this movie's so funny. It's not, unfortunately, it's not as funny as we think it is. There are administrators, school teachers. It's unfortunate. Daycare providers. It's a child care providers. It's unfortunate the amount of people who are genuinely abusing children. Foster care system, all types, social work. It's unfortunate. It's not a large population. However, it's the responsibility of every single adult who witnesses these hyper-polarized, suffering adults who again take it on any vulnerable population. It doesn't just mean children. It could be you, me, any one of us experiencing what is considered to be a disability. Anything, any category of life where you're in need with another person and they're harming you. And then there's someone else who knows that, but they're not stepping in. That's crazy. So that house scene is extremely important because it points out that even when there's two different generations of highly spiritually inclined people, because Miss Honey's also spiritually inclined, even if she's not telekinetic, that's totally fine. Her influence, her radiance, her energy in and of itself, it's bewitching. It really is. So much so that it corralled the entire school. How the heck did she ascend to principal? So there's an aspect of like even different generations still dealing with the same type of aggressive bullying energy of a hurt person. That's the point of all of this. Miss Trunchbull was a hurt person. We never saw a backstory of her. We don't need to. There's no such thing as any person on this planet that has ever lived, that has ever been a terrible, horrible person, that wasn't a person that was deeply, internally not well. And we should really question that, because it's not about them just not being well. It's what are we doing to even create a world where they can be, where they can be pushed into their radical evolution, where they have to go and grow. Either if you're going to stay on this planet, if you're going to stay in this realm, you have to grow. And if you can't, well, they know where God is. You're going to have to. You flood darkness with so much light. Where is it going to go? What is it going to do? That's the point. Matilda did not succumb to the darkness that was all around her, and it was all around. And it's unfortunate because even Miss Honey, and needs to be pointed out again, Miss Honey, as much as she is wonderful, and she is, please understand, just like a lot of adults who see that this foolishness going on in the world, no matter what your industry is, IT, you see it in the tech field right now. It's not just about being replaced by artificial information, because it surely isn't intelligence. Intelligence requires an intrinsic connection to God source itself. That is intelligence. What we're dealing with is artificial information, artificial informal material, informational material. Okay. It's called AIM. Okay. Let's call it that. They're aiming for something. It's not quite there. We're already the destination. They're aiming, we're the destination. What is going on here? Any of that stuff with like tech stuff. If you're seeing this stuff happening, but you're not stepping in, what are we even doing? It's not enough that you're already being replaced. Now you're losing employment. Now you're having to dance on TikTok and all this other nonsense. This is more like a, hey, you know full well that they're spying on all of their civilians. You know this already. You know the levels of privacy, like the levels of infiltration that has happened. You understand this personally. What are you doing? There are so many of us in our industries who each of us have a key eye, like literal witness to the crime being committed against humanity right now today. We're all witnessing it, and we all have key witnessing views. It makes logical. It's not even about just making logical sense. It feels good. It feels good to share in that horizontally. It feels good. It feels comforting. It feels relieving. It feels like ecstasy to share love. It really does. It feels like home to share in love. It feels like home. Matilda, at the end of the movie, her greatest reward was normalcy and regulation and functionality. That was her reward. After all of that, she was born into a effed up situation, and her reward was functionality. Give it up. Okay, that's our reward. That is our reward. I know it may sound like I'm being sarcastic. I'll be honest with you. Take it how you want to. I'm not actually going to even clarify it, because you know what? Sometimes it does feel that way. We're damn. I went from negative 100 and my reward is 0. Some people go from 100 and their reward is 0. You see? So it's all about us and our perception about these things ultimately. But genuinely speaking, the reward for people who work on themselves is a life that honors the fact that you had to work on yourself, and that was okay, and that you deserve something better, and that's also okay. And you get to move on to something more, whatever you want to move on to, and then also acknowledge the memory of what you've been through occasionally, because that's all that it asks for. That's why we keep traditions and not tragedies. The tradition of honoring the tragedy without having to hold all of that pain and the processing of that pain, but through empathy and the praxis of that, the spiritual nature of consulting with those who have come before us. We are not the first Matildas of our family. Please know that. There's no way. We may think that. We may feel that way. We may think, well, I don't know any other Matilda in my family. Please know the fact that you're even here means the capacity already lived in your family, in your environment. It was possible. Miracles don't just pop up out of nowhere. They actually come from a continuation of someone holding the miracle. Please know this. You are a miracle being held by someone who held a vision of you, who knew a purpose like you can exist. And so you are. We don't understand how many times we've been prayed for. We've been prayed for. You've been prayed into your bloodline. Prayed. And I don't mean P-R-E-Y. I mean P-R-A-Y. Prayed. Okay? As a solution, as a cure, as an answer, as a promise being fulfilled, as truth, as the truth coming back in flesh, as justice, finally resurrecting itself. Finally. I wonder. It's so fascinating. I won't even get into that, but the concept, the lore idea of Matilda coming from a long line of women who actually had that capacity, but something got lost along the way. I think that's a very beautiful thing. And you know what? Matilda restored something onto her family, even if they didn't realize that, even if they couldn't say that to her. They did not know. They never thanked her, obviously. And guess what? Matilda didn't need it, okay? She never said how she's like, damn, and she thought about her parents once again. She never said that. Ain't never, we ain't never heard that. Not to say her and Miss Honey don't ever talk about it occasionally, but I clink them cups with that tea in it, girl. Clink them cups, okay? She moved on. Most importantly, let's be honest, very, very clear. And I love this. Is one of my favorite parts of the movie. This is one of my favorite parts is the mom. Shout out to the mom in the movie. Because though she was a terror and she wasn't helpful. And she also was part of the problem. She was just as abusive, just as psychologically violent as the dad, just as so. It don't matter. She had her own way of doing the exact same thing. All three of them were tormenting Matilda. And if you notice in okay, so there's two things. I'm gonna say the thing about the mom, and then I'm gonna say something else about the fact that just say this and go. The fact that in her flashback when she's over here like working on her powers and stuff, you know who she saw the most? It was her family. She didn't see Miss Trunchbull, though she definitely did. But of course, she barely went to school, and the people she was raised the most around, it's whoever's in her environment. But you notice she didn't say the silly adults who probably scoffed at her while she was walking back and forth through the library. She didn't say about how the stupid, the rude, whatever. It wasn't as focused on her brother, even though her brother is, not that far away from her age and he's around her, enough. He's doing things that the parents don't even notice. It wasn't all that. She noticed all of her family members. Do you understand what I'm saying to you? The ways in which the people closest to us can hurt us, but also can be the motivation for the things that we need. So that's exactly that. I just want to point that out because at the end of the movie, shout out to the mom. She was the most logical. Thank you for this. It easily could have been this could have been an entirely different commentary, an entirely different movie, entirely and movie review. If the mother and the father said, no, we legally can take you wherever we want to. No. We know that you don't want to be here with us. We know that we're torturing you. We know that you're suffering. We know we don't even like you. But we'll take you anyway. I'd rather you suffer than grow. Some people are like that. It's sick. And that's where you just got to go and cut your losses and get the fuck away from them. Straight up. Like, whatever you got to do. Straight up. It's unfortunate the ways you have to defend yourself against people who are not in their right mind. And I'm talking about, like all of that dark triadism, those people are not in their right minds. Please know that. All that egotistical nonsense, not in your right mind. So yeah, yeah, yeah. I just wanted to share that because literally, had the mother not have agreed, Matilda would have never been able to go. It doesn't matter that Miss Honey would have loved her and said, "I will take you. I'll fight for you, girl. I'll find you in Guam." She didn't say that. She did not say that. She did not say that. Okay. Had the mother not have decided, because Matilda came from her mom. She came from both of her parents equally. Please know that. Please know that. Please know that. Karmic retribution go on both sides equally. Everybody finna get it. That's the first thing. Second thing, the mother, though, is the portal in which Matilda came through. And it's just more so symbolic that the mother distinctly also recognized, girl, I don't know who the hell you are. I don't know who you are. I don't know you. I wouldn't know what to do with you even if I kept you. I wouldn't even know what to do. And as far as they know, as far as I think with the parents, they didn't had no clue that she had power. So it's not like they would have known how dangerous she could have been to them and for them. They had no clue. So again, she's just being a basic egotistical person who's like, damn girl, I don't really know you like that, girl, but and you was just really complicated as a kid and you only 6 or 7 right now, but still, I'm 47, but whatever. And you know what, girl? I'm gonna let you go. Peace out, eight town down. And she left. And left her kid with that stranger lady. And never probably look back at for that kid. Because the FBI was literally on their tail. Okay. And mind you, it's not like Matilda, oh, well, she went off to be an XYZ. No, she went off to be a kid. She was already brilliant. But you know what the greatest reward for children who've been harmed? Children who are still children, adolescent distinctly. It's the rest of their damn childhood while they still have it. I'll tell you that right now. Give it to them while they have it. Restore it now. Restore it now. Restore it now. Give it to them while they can. Because you know what we have to do as adult children? We have to restore it in the ways that we can. But with the time that we have, we don't have as much time as adolescent children. You know why? Because we have to actually spend that other half of the time raising them. And that's even if you're not a parent. Even if you didn't biologically, whatever, or adopt children or foster children, it does not matter. A lot of people think because they didn't, experience pregnancy or whatever, or adopt children or foster, going about the process of fostering children, that they are not a parent and that they don't have to worry about the well-being of children. That is hilarious. That is hilarious. You're hilarious. Don't do that. You're seeing the world that you live in right now from a generation that thought the exact same thing about you. I suggest you don't even bother. Yeah. Got to make sure. So the childless generation, right? The section of it, and that includes me. That includes myself as I'm speaking. So I'm not talking about this and I'm like, oh, I'm not. I know, like I was saying, wholeheartedly, we as adult children have to restore it upon ourselves and each other, but we have to do that in sections because the greatest priority is the actual adolescent children. They are the greatest priority of having, well, my inner child and I had my work and the only reason why I speak in this tone is because, again, I'm all for inner child work. My only question is, how the hell did your inner child work not connect to the actual real children who are having to do work that they shouldn't even have to be freaking doing? And I'm talking about children including 19-year-olds. Like, why? Like, why are 18-year-olds having to think like 30-year-olds? Because the 30-year-olds don't want to think like 30-year-olds so that the 18-year-olds can think like 18-year-olds. Everyone's so sad about the childhood that they didn't have, but we're not actually restoring it to each other by sharing our love with each other so that we can free up the school of life. We're not supposed to be working and enslaved. Everyone already knows that. Everyone already knows that. What's the name of the religion for that? What's the name of the religion of people who know that they're not supposed to be spending their entire lives of their lives working? What is the religion for that? What's the religion for love? What is it? What's the name of the religion for that? What's the name of it? I haven't found a political party of any of that. Haven't found a university. Mm-mm. I don't know which industry houses that the most. They got the therapy. They literally have the therapists, at least in the US, running in circles. Running in circles. And this would be one of the greatest times right now for the therapist. I don't know. I mean, my damn, like, but if they're participating in the same system that their clients are complaining about, then the therapists are tying their own hands. And I say they tie their own hands because ironically, the therapists, you would think that they would know better. They study psychology. They study human psychology. I say this because, again, we're all supposed to be stepping up at this current time, no matter what your industry is, to be dismantling your own suffering right now. And that's across the world. It's already happening across the world. Why would they tell you on the TV? I'm going to go and kind of wrap it up here, but I wanted to say this, that shout out to Matilda for liberating herself and for emancipating herself, because it's her, it is she who emancipated herself. No one saved her. Not even her comrade. Her comrade was the assistance, and that is exactly what they're supposed to be. Miss Honey wasn't a punk and leave. Oh my gosh, I didn't go enough into deep detail about the house part, because this actually speaks to exactly that. Miss Honey was not a punk and did not leave Matilda in her aunt's house. The frick? She didn't leave her like, damn girl, I told you. I told you not to mess with my auntie girl. She did not do that. And she also did not let in any way Matilda face the magnitude of the heat for her actions. She's a freaking child. Matilda should have never have had been standing up to Miss Trunchbull in the first place. From the very first day that she got on that campus, she should have never have had to do that. Every single last adult in that school should have already got Miss Trunchbull out the school already. Then on top of that, when we realized that, yeah, well, Matilda, she didn't go inside the house because she didn't technically, dishonor what Miss Honey said, but she 1000% did not stop until she got her end goal of justice, because she knew it was possible, and that is the answer. That's for each and every one of us. We're going to find out. We are each to find our own way to that, and that is what we're already doing. So there's that. But when Miss Honey realized that Matilda 1000% was technically in the wrong, quote unquote wrong, you know what I mean? She literally, Miss Trunchbull going into the classroom to address whoever's breaking into her house and harassing her. Even then, Miss Honey stepped in and said, it was me. Mind you, they were both in the house. And mind you, Matilda went back multiple times. But Miss Honey said, I will take it on, because it is better, it is me, than this more vulnerable population. I don't know when the adults are going to wake up to that. I don't know when anyone that is 26 and up, I don't know when, 26 and up. And mind you, it's not because of anything else other than the basic, we say that the frontal core or the whatever the rest of the brain is supposed to be fully developed. Okay, your brain's fully developed now. Boom, 26 and up. What are we doing? What are we doing, y'all? I'm telling you what I'm doing right now. I'm doing everything that I've already said in this. Everything that you've ever heard on this channel is what I'm doing. It is what I'm doing. What are we all doing? What are we all doing? I'm at this point because I'm like, again, Matilda at the end of that movie, I did not really realize that. I just didn't. I don't know why. It just kind of hit me different when I realized, of course, yeah. So one, also, she literally also tried to stop. She tried to save her dad and give him just a bit more time. By, mind you, she could have easily taken on, the feds, cutting a deal, whatever. And she was like, no, because y'all are not serious and y'all are not integral and you're not actually going to do what you say. Y'all have an entirely different self-interest mission going on here. That's not actually truly helpful. You don't have integrity either. So, mind you, I mean, hey, they need to catch her dad for what they're doing. That's for what he's doing. That's true. However, they literally knew that she was not, to some degree, at least being treated well. They had at least some awareness, and it's not like they did anything. And even then, they threatened her with being in an orphanage, which should never be a threat ever. Um, yeah, basically, she literally tried to help her dad to not be caught up in the situation that he got caught up in at the end of the movie. And so that's another good reason for why, again, like, no, I think that's a really good, like, just another good point about the movie. You cannot save people from their bad behavior. All you can do is reflect it back to them. I really hope, I pray. Let this be. I distinctly listen to everything that I myself also channel and share because I need this just as much as any other person. Please know this. You cannot stop someone else's bad behavior. All you can do is reflect it back to them. You cannot stop them. They stop themselves. She got rid of the evidence of what her father was doing, and he did not care. He didn't know also, but she literally, no, rewind. Shout out to the scapegoats. Because what scapegoats are typically scapegoated because people don't want to face what accountability, because they don't want to be held responsible, because what knowledge is what power, and when you mismanage your knowledge, you get held accountable for it. Okay, when you mismanage your knowledge, which is power, when you mismanage your power, period. So knowledge is power. When you say I don't want to know knowledge, it's willful ignorance. That's you still disempowering yourself, which harms everyone else around you as well. You're going to be held accountable for that. Her father did not believe her when she said more than once, and to her mother, that those are cops. They didn't listen to her. That's fine. It's not even. So again, towards the end of the movie, it just, again, thankfully they let her go, because again, it easily, in another realistic way, no, you have to come with us. We know that we're torturing you. We know that you're going to suffer. We know that you probably are going to be, if anything, you might run away. Sadists don't care, right? It's about control. But thankfully, that just wasn't the case. And thankfully, again, energy, we're all energy. And so miracles and whatever frequency that you need, it moves through all of us. It moves through every last person. It doesn't matter. You can call a miracle through a person who doesn't like you. It doesn't matter. We all have to surrender to God anyway. It don't matter. So the fact that she even had the adoption papers on her, she was ready. She was prepared for her outcome. You have to be prepared. But we're never going to get there if we keep validating someone else's system of dysfunction, and they need us. The dysfunctional is waiting on us to get them to their next state of evolution. That is the entire point here. And the house scene is an example of what can happen when we work together. I think that's actually the easiest thing that I can say to wrap up that house scene. I could have gone into a bit more detail about that, but I do think that the intergenerational working together about that, because 3 generations were working together in that. It wasn't just 2. It was 3 people, 3 generations. All 3 of them are telling a story about what we do with our pain. All 3 of them in that house scene, of them distinctly, of Miss Honey for the first time in a very long time going back into the house that she was raised in. And she hadn't been there in a very long time. And had she not have had this beautiful awakening through her beautiful child, because it is her child, it wasn't just her student, because our children are our students, and our students are our children. Please understand this. Please know this. You, when you were a student, were someone's child. You were supposed to be cared for. I pray that you've experienced at least maybe once in your life in your education and beyond, of an adult really loving you, and you know that you were loved by them. They loved you. I have felt this way by my teachers. I have thankfully been blessed. It's not a bunch of teachers. No. I don't, it's not even the majority of them. I'm saying the ones who were, they have stood out. They've remained with me this entire time. I love you all too. I live for you as well. They lived for me. They live for me and I live for them too. That's why we're here, right? When you are love, you share it. It's ever present. You bump into it, it's right there. And my teachers, they saved my life. I need to say this very directly, and I'm going to say this, and I think this might be the end of my review here. But my teachers, and I'm talking about in and out of the school, but especially when I was in the school system, I went to public school, or through public school system, and thankfully, I thankfully just had some humane teachers. They were just humane. They made me feel safe in my own skin as a human being in a very tender time, in a very vulnerable time, as an adolescent, period. 0 to 24 and including 25 is it's a lot, especially if you don't have guidance. And then especially if you're dealing with antagonistic energy, an antagonistic environment. So many people can relate to that. And it's actually, that's not okay. I'm not okay with people being able to relate to growing up in such an antagonistic environment. I'm not okay with that. I don't want that for you. I don't want you to be tortured by memories of being harmed. I don't want that for you or for anyone. You know? I think we deserve better, y'all. I think we deserve better. I think every last one of us deserve better right now as you're listening to this. I don't care what day or what year you're listening to this. I don't care what the season is. You deserve better. Make sure that you're ensuring that for yourself. And it starts with, and I will be honest with you, it starts with source. If you want to know how to even get there, we have to start with source itself. That is God itself. Mother, Father, God. I don't say God in any way from a genderized place. Never. I'm talking about what it really is. Surrendering to that ultimate energy that makes everything possible. You got to start there. That's what we got to do. Um, Matilda could not rely on her rational intelligence to get her out of that situation. She had to rely on her spiritual surrender to channel her hurt because she was hurt. Yeah, she was angry, but Matilda was in pain. Matilda was in pain. It's not right. Whether you're a child or an adult child, whether you're an adolescent child or an adult child, it doesn't matter. It all hurts. But no child should have to defend themselves, especially against adults. And no child distinctly should have to defend themselves alone, distinctly. That's especially what I want to say. No child should ever, ever, never, never, ever defend themselves alone. And if that is the precedence that we set for you as a child, what do you think you deserve as an adult child now? That's the world we're building. I love you so much. I love you. I need you to know this. There are so many of us. There are so many people. Oh man, I don't. No, I will. I will. I love you so much. There are so many people in these servicing fields, in these caretaking fields that are already putting their lives on the line for you right now, just so that you can exist in peace, just so that you can have the option to contemplate whether or not you even want to love yourself. There are people putting themselves on the line for you right now so that you can have the option to even consider it and think that time is cheap. Please don't let them share their love with you in vain. Don't let that happen. You are worth fighting for. You are worth fighting for. You are worth fighting for. Fight for yourself and fight for others. And never, ever, ever stop fighting. We are one. We are one. And we already won. Thank you, Matilda. And thank you to the entire, thank you to the author who made the book. Real quick, I have to, if I'm going to say all of this, especially about this story, because it's bigger than a movie. It's about the story. The story could not have, the movie could not have existed without the author itself. So I want to thank the author of Matilda by name. I said Danny DeVito's name more than once. Hold on. Okay. Okay. Yeah, of course. Roald Dahl, a British author known for his popular children's literature. And the book was published in 1988, which is incredible because, of course, 8 years later, the movie premiered. And this is beautiful. Thank you. I hope I'm saying his name, pronouncing his name correctly. It's like Ronald, but Roald, Raould, Raould, Roald, Roald Dahl. I want to say Roald Dahl. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for your channeling, for your ease, and for your softness. Thank you for writing this story. Thank you for writing this and channeling this for so many of us, because this is so needed. And your message has been received. If that makes sense. I hope that that makes sense. It's been received. Thank you. Yeah. I love you so much. I love you so much. And I really do hope that you know there's always a Miss Honey waiting for you, there to help you and assist. And it is you who is emancipating yourself. And I'm right here with you. And I love you so much. I love you so much. And I want to talk to you again soon. Okay? All right. Love you. Bye.